Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have a very, very special guest for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
I am Adam Holland, and I'm calling from Westchester, New York, on the East Coast, where we just had an earthquake. I was telling you, very exciting, scary and exciting out here on the East Coast.
Yes, that is scary. All the New Yorkians is
Yes.
like, we do.
Exactly. I've been through, this is my fourth earthquake. I lived in California for a while, and there was one in New York a couple of years ago. Either way, I was like, holy, you know what. So, but here I am. We're okay. We made it.
Cool. You know, I want to talk about your past leading up
Sure.
into your present. You can go ahead. You have the floor.
Sure. So my background is I've been in the music industry most of my adult life, navigating through the interesting path that is. In my early 20s, I was in a band called Valentine. That was like an 80s, I guess we had hair, so we were a hair band, but a pop rock band, a little hard rock. That was on Giant Records, which was part of Warner Brothers. We had a video on MTV with Ali Sheedy, part of the Brat Pack. She was in our video. We did all right. It was a good run. Then the 90s came along. Obviously, music, changed, and the band evolved into a band called Open Skyz, where we had able to get a recording contract with RCA Records, which was fantastic, really great, supportive place. And our goal was to try and rock, not be grunge, but try and rock a little more like Lenny Kravitz would rock, a little more groovy and just less 80s. That was a band called Open Skyz, another record I'm proud of. And then I took a little break from just being in bands, and I had a child, and obviously just got became a normal person for a little while. And then through some friends and people I knew in the industry, I headed down to Nashville, Tennessee, because a lot of 80s type of writers, pop writers, were having some success there because they wanted that sort of merge influences. They have plenty of great country writers in Nashville. Either way, I was able to, took a long time, but I would get myself as a staff writer at a place called Murrah Music. And there was some, again, wonderful people came out of there. At the time, actually, Luke Bryan was just getting started. He was there during my time there. And I remember people were talking, saying, this guy is going to be the next thing. And they were all right. He clearly is a huge success. And that was a great, great, great part of my life. I really cherished that part. It was one of the best creative parts of my life. I never got anything recorded. I had a lot of things, what's called on hold. And it was a little frustrating, but whatever. It was what it was, and it was a positive experience. And then I wanted to get back into playing again. And through a series of our band Valentine started to play out again. And we met up with Steve Augeri, who was the singer in Journey for quite a while after Steve Perry. And he was looking to put together a new band. And the pieces fell together. And I've been playing with Steve Augeri in the Steve Augeri Band since 2000 and I guess late 2009, 2010. Oh. And we travel around. He has an interesting following. We travel literally all over the world playing Journey music, some of his original music, some of our own. And it's been an interesting life. I'm grateful human being, let me put it that way. That's the most important thing. I'm a grateful, grateful, grateful person.
Well said, Mr. Holland. Okay, so 3 major record deals. Tell me about the MTV video. Can I pull that off of YouTube, by the way?
Can. Absolutely. It's out there.
What is it called?
It's called No Way.
Okay.
It's under Warner Brothers. So we did a video. We obviously had an 80s band at the time. We made a video, and we were able to get Ali Sheedy, from the Brat Pack, to be in our video. And it was just a cool, definitely a lighthearted video. It wasn't anything there was no real deep message to it. And the gentleman who directed it was a famous director, had directed some of the funny Van Halen videos. So we wanted to have that sort of lighthearted attitude. And we thought he did a great job. It looked great. And it gave us some great credibility and definitely gave us some notoriety, because even small rotation, light rotation on MTV is tremendous. And
Yes.
really put us out there. And then when we played shows, people were like, "Oh, they knew who we were." It was pretty wild, that transformation.
That is so awesome. And I want to dig a little deeper. But before I do, tell me first, what is the name of the first band that got you into MTV? What is the name of it? Because
that was called Valentine. Just just Valentine. There's a couple of Valentine, not My Bloody Valentine, just Valentine. And that song is called No Way. And the album is just self-titled Valentine. It's on all the streaming platforms now. It's out there.
I see it. You all were in a limousine. Just break down for me
the video concept.
How it went. Oh my God. I'm gonna play it even after the show.
Sure,
Tell
no
me
problem.
how it went, like the setup and everything.
Well, first of all, as a young musician, so we were in our early 20s, your first, it was a big deal. We know you do your first record and you're getting paid to be a musician, which is like uncomprehendable. And there are major labels, you're getting, your transportation, things, you have people taking care of you, which is just really, I remember like just that alone, I was like, wow, this is like, holy crap, we've arrived. It was pretty wild. Yeah. So we went out to LA. We were from New York, and we had some production meetings, and it was fun. They needed extras, so we invited all our friends and anybody we could get ahead, which was such a great fun. So what a fun day. Here we are making this video, and each scene, it's like, really, I'd never made a movie before. I'd never done this. So you play the song to the recording a million different times. They film it with 20 different cameras. Then on the scenes that we were quote unquote acting, really Ali Sheedy was the acting. She was doing like the person trying to sneak into this performance. That's her whole
black hair with right here, the shoulder length black hair, right?
Say it again?
Young lady had the shoulder length black hair.
Right, she did. Well, she had multiple wigs on. She had a lot.
Cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see the video.
The point of the video was that she was trying to disguise her way into this. First she got turned away by the security. Then she tried to sneak in 20 different ways. She played this person. So she plays all these different wacky characters trying to get into our performance. Did
she make it?
She does. At the end, she makes it, I think. But then I think by the time she gets in, we're actually leaving. So that's one of those type of things. So again, the silly video, no question about it. Wasn't,
Was it made with love? And then how many takes did it take to get it actually accurate?
You know what? It's really in the editing. So it took one full day probably 24 hours of recording. We recorded the performance numerous times, and then all these other pieces. So it just took one day of filming. Then they edit. The editing is really the part that I wasn't involved in, but that's like the key to bringing all the pieces together. So
okay.
It was fun. It was a great experience. I really, really cherished that day. It was great.
You can tell, I'm looking at the video right now, and you can tell it's diverse. You can tell that y'all are rocking and happy.
We were happy and rocking with our floppy hair, with the big hair.
I love the hair. I love it. That's where I get my inspiration, believe it or not.
The 80s hair. Yes, you have great hair.
Thank you. Oh my God. I see that I can't play it, but I see that they brought her back. The security guards kind of got her.
Right. They keep taking it. She keeps getting in. They keep taking her out. She keeps, they keep picking her up and throwing her out. It's like a cartoonish type of thing. It's like Bugs Bunny-ish type of, they throw him outside in the trash. He comes back in type of thing.
Yeah. I can't wait to see it.
Cool.
Tell me about, after the video, how many hits did y'all get? Because it's hard. This is in the 80s, y'all.
Correct.
This is in 2000, where you can see a YouTube video.
Correct.
To see how many hits. So how did y'all do?
So that's a great question. And we never got, I guess I take that back. We got into like a light rotation, but not into the full like mainstream. There was a show called Headbangers Ball, which again, we weren't really headbanger, but technically we fit into that genre. So that's where they first played it. And that was on like midnight to 3 a.m. Having said that, so the people who like that type of music would either watch it or record it. So we got that time of night when on a Saturday evening, people saw it. People knew who we were. So then when we went out into the country and played it, people like knew. It was pretty wild. People like knew the song. It was wild.
And the genre that y'all choose is just regular rap, or not rap, but rock and roll mixed with what?
They call it AOR. It's like album oriented rock, which is really the 80s rock. 80s what we played with, like, again, everyone looked with the crazy hair and the crazy, bright, everything was like flashy and glinging. So we were influenced by the 70s, like bands like Boston, Foreigner, Bad Company, Styx, REO Speedwagon. So we tried to take those influences and bring them into the 80s, which, that style was Bon Jovi,
Yeah, I know who that is.
right,
Yeah.
Def Leppard, all that was the times. So we were a little band in that big sea of 80s bands. But we didn't sell a million records, but it was a great thing. We got known. And what's interesting about today's world, 2024, with social media, like everyone can connect. So people who back then I didn't know until you saw someone in person or they came to see you live, you didn't really have any interactions with people. I don't know who saw it or you never really knew. In today's world, people reach out often and they know me from Valentine or Open Skyz or something else. And I'm like, wow, who knew people are paying attention? But I guess it's cool to see that and get that feeling of recognition. I mean, decades later, it's pretty wild.
Yes. And tell me, like, why did you want to get out of the contract? Well, whether you wanted to or not, but
yeah, we didn't want to. It wasn't up to us.
Exactly. Your contract ended, and then it was something else you got into. Can you tell me about that?
Sure.
Sorry.
Well, it's great. So basically, I think everyone from that time, there was a time, the 80s was a certain sound, and really when the Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, grunge or night, when the decade shifted, all of a sudden what was one thing, like the labels just wanted to move forward. You can't blame them. They wanted to go into Soundgarden, they wanted to go into Alice in Chains, different, it was a different time. So a lot of the 80s bands just got left behind. It was like that period, that decade had happened. And for us, which was unfortunate, we didn't come out till the end of the decade. So it was like it was a blip, and then it was like, thanks, but we're moving on. So we were very fortunate. We had people, our managers were still like, we still believe in you guys, but
Yes.
So go reinvent yourself. And we started to write with other people. We weren't trying to pretend to be, like I said earlier, we weren't never pretending to be a 90s band, a grunt, like, wearing flannel. That was never, we weren't going to fake it. That was never the intention.
Yes.
However, the intention was, we weren't like massively huge that we couldn't evolve a little bit. So we tried to evolve and try to write different things. And like I said, rock in a different type of way, and then we were very fortunate. Our singer, Hugo Valenti, such a great singer that there was some people had interest in him. We did write some new songs and our manager stayed with us. God bless our manager, a guy named Louis Levin, wonderful person. He managed Michael Bolton's career, and he stayed with us and said, "Listen, just go right. It's up to you guys. Can you evolve into the next chapter?" And we did. And we were lucky enough to have a great producer named Richie Zito came to see us, and he said, "I want to make a record." He goes, "But same thing. I need you to think a little differently. I don't want you to, again, fake and change. I want you just to expand your horizons, write with different people. Go try this thing, go this thing. So try different instruments." So it was a very creative period. I was very pleased with that period, and I'm very proud of that record. And then we were able to get a new record contract on RCA, which was like, literally, it was very hard, especially after getting dropped. You sort of, not that it was old news, but it's hard to reinvent. So we were able to do it. We made a great record with some great people, and we were able to, again, be out in California, be creative. They really let us be creative and said, just take a breath and write songs. Don't worry about it, which was unbelievable. No, it wasn't. There was pressure, but not pressure. It was kind of wild. So we were able just to be creative and try things. I've never had that experience before. Up until that, we hadn't had it. So it was a great time. We made a great record, and we had some success on that record. And there wasn't videos in that. There was like videos were like not happening. We didn't make a video, but we had some good radio. We had good press, and we toured more with Open Skyz than we did with Valentine. So it was a successful couple of years. It was great. I mean, I look back on that period with, I held that in a special place in my heart. It was a great time. And it was all the guys from Valentine, a few different people, shifted, but it was the general core of that band. And that was Open Skyz. It was looking back, I say this to my good friend Gerard, who was in both of these bands, how we got that new deal. I mean, so again, gratitude.
I love it and well said. Tell me about the reinvention in the 90s of Open Skyz with RCA. Did you have a hit song? What was your hit song with that?
We had a mild hit. It was called Every Day of My Life. And
was there a video to it?
There was no video, but there was not. But it's on it is on definitely Spotify and all the streaming services. It's out there. Every Day of My Life. It was an up-tempo rock song. And there were some songs on that record that were very like groovy, different type of songs.
What was the inspiration behind the CD cover or there was no CDs in the early.
Well, no, there was a CD actually. It was just truthfully everything in the 90s was like just the opposite of the 80s. Like in the 80s we had this elaborate cover with art meetings and concepts, and no joke, it was almost like in the 90s it was like whatever. I know it sounds silly. We looked at all these different graphics and images and things, and there's water dripping out of a
yes.
And I'm not even sure what it means. And I know that I don't know if you can see over my shoulder. Hold on, there's the album cover back.
Oh, hold on, let me look. Let me look.
I don't know. It's hard to see it. It's up there, but either way, I'll get you some pictures of it. But the point is, it was just really, there wasn't a lot of thought. It was just like, that looks cool. What does it even mean? It's ambiguous. It's kind of cool. So the 90s was like less about visual, less about graphic, more about a little bit being abstract. And that's that. So there's not a lot of meaning to that cover, just kind of a cool image that somehow we looked at so many pictures and we just felt connected to that one. I don't know why. The sky, and also Open Skyz, the reason we changed the name of the band is during the middle of the record, we wrote a great song called Open Skyz. And we just felt, and even the label was like, this isn't really Valentine 2.0. It's different. So we think you should change the name of the band. And we had written this song Open Skyz, which was and again, open sky, there's an open future, an optimistic type of feeling. And we did feel that way. We're like, wow, we got this second chance. Holy crap. Are we lucky? And
what's the difference between the songs that you had with Valentine versus the songs that you had with Open Skyz? What changed about the tune of the beats?
Well, it's a good question how to articulate that. The music of Valentine was definitely very pop guitar, crunchy guitar, like kind of not metal, but definitely harder, definitely heavier, where we lightened up. Like I said, we tried to, this is what Richie Zito had said to us, like, how does Tom Petty rock? How does Lenny Kravitz rock? How does like Peter Gabriel? A lot of these guys, they can rock, but it's not like metal rock. It's a different type of vibe. So we tried to think in that term. So it's definitely softer, but there's still some guitar playing, and it's definitely a guitar-oriented record, but there's some vibier things. We tried all kinds of, we deliberately used vintage instruments. Like in the 80s, everything was like slick and pop and like crunchy and fine-tuned. But in the 90s, it was a little more like...
What's the crunchy? When you say crunchy, what do you mean by crunchy?
Like, I mean like crunchy guitars and a crispy, like very crispy produced, ultra produced, like and refined and tight. Where in the 90s, it was a little more like just, we used old instruments. We had some and we borrowed some, we rented some. So we wanted to capture like a vintage, like classic rock feel. So we went just more, that's how we evolved. And we also wrote songs. We used to write everything ourselves, which is what most bands do. We decided, and the label wanted us, everyone said you should write with other writers, expand your horizons. Don't forget about the egos. Try every song you could ever think of. Who knows what could work? It's a new world. So forget the past and just think we'll try everything, we were very fortunate to have someone letting us do that. It was, again, what an opportunity to be creative. It was great. So those song, and we also covered some other songs. We just let go of the past and tried to be new, tried to reinvent ourselves. I think we did. It was, and I feel proud of that record.
Yeah, well said. And every day of my life, how long did it take you to write those lyrics?
Actually, we didn't write that song. That's a cover song. That was written by another person. I think I forgot even who it was. Actually, Glenn Burtnick, a famous, another well-known artist and writer. He wrote the song, and someone brought it to us, and we were like, wow, that song rocks. We loved it.
It collaborated just right with the music.
Right. Sometimes, and we had never played anybody else's song ever. However, we like, again, open our minds. And the producer, Richie Zito, was like, just again, who cares who wrote? Do you connect to the song? Like in country, no, most of the people don't write their songs, but they find a song and they embrace it. So we tried to do that. And this song was not written by us. It was written by a wonderful guy named Glenn Burtnick. And by the way, we had written a few songs with him. He co-wrote Open Skyz with us. So we had started to get to know him, and he's a well-known artist and great writer. So we were happy to write with him. And when we were writing, I guess that's when he played us this song, and we were like, oh man, what about that song? Can we have it? And he said, absolutely. So we jumped on it.
Tell me how you have evolved and about your newest CD.
Great question. First of all, age is a great, makes, I'll go back to that word, gratitude. It makes you look back and see what worked, what didn't work. And you also realize half the stuff you're worried about was just complete nonsense. So what's nice about the world we live in today, there's a lot of not things that are great, but one of the nice things about being a creative person is you can record something and you don't need a record label to have it out in the world. Through your own social media, through promotion, you can get it out there, produce it professionally. I know how to produce and record music, so I did it myself with the help of some other people. Obviously, I enlisted all the people I knew and hired the people I needed to hire. And you can put out things that are just genuinely, you're not worried about commercial appeal. You're worried about creativity and putting it out there. And if people want to hear it, then they can come and hear it. If they don't, it's okay. And you're not worried about, I have to sell this many records. I have to do this. I have to make this deadline. I have to make this quota. If we don't get this, then I'm going to be dropped. It's out there, and it's a wonderful thing. And I have a nice social media base, and people, there's a guitar community on Instagram and Facebook, and people will listen to it. And that's all I can ask for.
Yes, I'm going to play. Tell me about Rapture. Tell me everything you know.
Well, Rapture, I'll tell you what it was. There's always been this world of well-known guitar virtuosos who put out instrumental records. I'd never done that. I've always been a songwriter who wrote vocal, pop song, 4-minute songs. So I had never put out an instrumental record. So, but during the time of COVID, we're all home. We weren't touring, we weren't playing, and we were all just doing all kinds of creative things. And I started to make these little Instagram sort of performance videos where these 1 minute, at the time, Instagram had a 1 minute limit. And I would make these little jams and play along to them and record literally like where I'm sitting right now and make a video and put them out. And they were great. So many of those evolved into real songs. And my collaborator, Gerard Zappa, he had all kinds of ideas that were different than I had ever done. He was using some loops and things like that. And we decided to put it out. And I wanted to also have some instrumental music out in the world because I'd like to eventually get into doing some television work, some movie work. So I'm like, how are people going to know the different styles of instrumental music I can do? It's kind of like a resume, and I wanted to have some fun on the guitar. So that was sort of the evolution of the record, why I wanted to put it out. And so there's some country roots in there. There's all different styles of music. There's only 8 songs, but everyone's a little bit different. They're not like all the same style. They're all just all over the place because that's how they came out. I can't tell you why. There wasn't a lot of, that's how it evolved.
So the Tears Up have a little bit of country in it, right?
No, the song called Pretty Good Acoustics is it's a flat out country song.
Cool. cool. Hold on. Let's listen to Tears Of, okay?
Sure.
What's in Tears Of before we hear it?
What's in it?
Yes. What kind of style is
That
this?
is like a very, I'd say moody. It's slow with a rhythmic drum beat. It's very atmospheric. It's not up tempo. It's definitely I'd say moody and groovy.
I like that. Hold on for a second. What kind of guitar are you using, Adam?
What I'm using an electric guitar. Actually,
I knew it.
electric. It's called I use a brand called Landon guitars. That I'm using a Landon guitar with a bare knuckle pickup in the bridge. That gives me that strat. It's called a single coil. For those who don't play guitar, that sound is single coil pickup, Stratocaster style sound. So, but through a high gain amplifier. So it gives you that really tubey kind of sound.
You know what else is pretty cool? You introduced the actual song with drums. You hit the drums just right, and then you waited a little bit, and then you started to play the electrical guitar.
Correct. I did that on purpose, right?
You're talking to the people, and I love it.
I also you can start it. Listen, in the day we live in, people put out one song at a time. This is a collection of songs. It's old school, an album, but I wanted the first thing people to hear to be those drums, just like what's going to happen next, and just bring you in as
yes, that's what I can tell. Yes,
a little bit of mystery of like, wait, is it what's about? Is it fast? Is it slow? So I did that on purpose.
What is the country song called? Idol Worship?
No, Pretty Good Acoustics.
Pretty Good Acoustics. Pretty Good Acoustics. We're gonna see what you did with this. Let me look up your whole CD. While we doing that, tell me, like, what was your inspiration?
For which one?
For Pretty Good Acoustics. We'll go with
Okay. Well, I actually I love country music. I've always been a fan, even before I went to Nashville, which was appealing. I've always loved. There was a period of country music in the late '90s, early 2000s. They call it modern country, when it's kind of that Faith Hill shift, Tim McGraw, Keith Urban, that type of stuff, a little more pop-oriented country music. So I love that genre, and I always felt the singers were great, the players were great, and the songs were great, and that's what led me to. I was kind of writing it already. That's what led me down to Nashville in the first place. And this song is just something I was, just sort of throwing me back to that time, which is it's a nice sort of sounding song. This song could eventually have some lyrics to it, but right now it just has a nice sort of driving your car top down type of feeling to it,
Can I ask you a quick question, because
Sure.
I'm having difficulties with finding it on YouTube, the Pretty Good Acoustics one.
Right.
Can you tell me where I can go for free and find it? Because I want to hear it.
Oh, well, it's definitely on any of the streaming services for free. Apple Music, Spotify, definitely for free. And
I don't really, go do this on a regular. Let me go search. Rapture, Adam, Holland. Okay, where is it at? His CD is right. I'm just gonna play Tears Of, but when I find it, sometimes they did this with Ariana Grande too. She had some underground music I listened to, and then they just don't show it like that. I don't know.
It depends on what I'm looking at Spotify, so I'll send you the song if you want. I could.
You can email it to
play
me.
it now. I can play it.
Yeah, play it.
I have a question. Can you hear this? Too loud? Okay. Good enough? Good?
Okay. I wanted to say that that is excellent. I wanted to say I always was into country music. Now they're starting to do a little twist with country music and bring in like a rap type
Yes,
country in
yes,
certain,
yes,
yeah. But with this, it's just good old country,
correct.
and it's an instrument y'all use. I don't know what it is, but in that,
Oh, pedal steel guitar. That is exactly. I know you're talking about.
oh,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
yeah,
The
it's
pedal steel. And I got someone I know down in Nashville, Mike Kalett, who I had played. I'd met him through the years, and I said, "Buddy, I need you to play on a song." He said he did a great job, and he did a wonderful job. And it's called a steel ride. When you have a guy play pedal steel, they call that a steel ride. And either way, he did a great job, and exactly what I was looking for, and brought the song to that real, just mellow country feel. It's definitely a relaxing song. It does make
now. Were you thinking about when you did it? Because you can create a song verbally out of that. I was thinking when I heard it, because I love music so much, like a love song, a love song, not about come back to me, because there's different genres, but it's just I love you, such and such, such and such. It can go on for days, but what do you think about that?
I think this song definitely could use at some point. We'll get some lyrics. It definitely has a real chorus to it. That when it gets to the chorus, there's an actual chorus. You can tell when it goes verse chorus. So I think that I don't know where they are yet, but I think that it's definitely a happy song. It's definitely it's not a breakup song. It's definitely a feel good song.
What do you think makes you in Rapture stands out from the rest of the? Why do people want to buy your CD?
Great question. I think that, well, first of all, they can buy, stream it. People buys whatever it is. It's not even on CD, but you know what I'm saying. I know you're saying get my record. I think that it's first of all my guitar playing. It
Yes.
showcases my guitar playing. It showcases diversity in my songwriting, and I think that it's not too long and it's not too short. It's the right amount of time where if you're doing something in your car, you're doing something around the house. It's just a nice way to make you feel. I think it'll make you feel good.
Okay. And if you had to give a piece of advice to a young entrepreneur out there that was your age,
Yes.
you was in your first Valentine's career to now, just tell them what mistakes have you learned from, and
Right.
what kind of advice would you give a young entrepreneur
It's a
about
great, and
making?
it's a good question. And one thing I'd say, I think no matter what, if you're in a creative field, okay, being creative and making money sometimes don't always go together. They can, though. I'm not saying they can't, because they definitely do. Whether you're like a professional athlete, a musician, artist, looking back, there are several people I know who, and I'm not saying this is a plan B, I'm saying go full force. However, in the time you have, there's people I know who have these incredible side careers. Like I know a guy who's a lawyer musician. I know a guy who's a chemical engineer, and he's a musician, successful musician. I know a guy who has another construction business, and he's a musician. So and a painter, and various like online, legitimate, educated college, lawyers and PhDs. So just because you can like the rebellious, I got to go for it. F society, I'm going to be rebellious. That is true, and you do need that. However, in today's world with the online ways to make money, it's you can have two things, because if you make money from something that's like, I don't know, different, not stressful, whatever, it'll actually give you more creativity and be able to do your art. But I'm not saying you have to like work in an office, because that will take away from your creativity. I'm saying because time, but there's something you can do in the background to help with income that will help you be more creative. And then, by the way, because all of a sudden 10 years go by and like, hey, I'm a lawyer, and you're still taking further steps to be a musician too. I'm not saying it might take, let's say law school takes 3 years. It might take you 6 years to get a law degree. So what? In that 6 years, and if you get a recording contract, then you put the law on pause. I mean, something like that. So my point is, I look back and I see a couple of people I know, actually multiple, who've done this parallel path, and it allows them to be better creative people in their adult life, because they're not like worried about oh my God, what am I doing for like this gig has to make me money. I'm going to take this gig and go play this, and I can go on tour and I can still do my work from my laptop in my hotel. I mean, that's have parallel paths, have a few things happening at once. I'm not saying you should not focus on your musical career or artistic career or whatever that is, or entrepreneurial career. I'm just saying that it's good to have things you can do at the same time.
One last question.
Sure.
Do in the year 2024, do
Yes.
these companies like RCA, Warner Brothers, etc., do they find the talent, or can the talent, people that are inspiring to be rock stars, pop stars, R&B
Right.
stars, can they go to the building and audition or
No,
call them?
they never could do that. That I think especially in 2024. And by the way, I'm an old guy, so I'm not even a young person trying to get a record deal. But my understanding is social media is the key. Like your own, like back in my days, it was like, who's coming to see you in a club? Are you packing out a club? Like we used to play clubs, and it was we built our own. You did a ground game. You played clubs and traveled in a van, and after a couple of years, people will come to see you. You build up a following, and the record companies want to see, they put out a little, people like them. Social media is that equivalent now. How many people like your song on Instagram, on YouTube, on this, and then there are people, once it's almost like they'll find you. Once, if you're big enough and you make that attention, get that attention for yourself, they know where they come to you. The labels still need music. They still, even though there's a different, the platforms and streaming and YouTube and touring is where the money is. There's still money, and there's still record labels need artists still.
Well said. How can the people find you?
A couple of ways. Adam Holland Official on Instagram is where I spend most of my social media time. Adam Holland Music is my website, and there's an email address on the website. If you need to reach me, you can there's a email just for that, and you can direct message me on Instagram. I do check those. I do my best to answer them if someone needs me.
Wow, I wish I could have you on longer, but I have a 10 o'clock. So you definitely take care. Stay on the line. You guys, Adam Holland, give him a round of applause. He's worked hard. His CD Rapture is fire. Like seriously, if you want to hear country, if you want to hear rock, if you want to hear something where it's like happy, relaxing music, then follow him. He's on Apple Music, Spotify. He's everywhere. So take care, you guys. It was a pleasure, and I'll see y'all next time.